I know that from the second a lot of moms are pregnant, their friends and family start telling them, oh my gosh, you should do this, you should take that, you should look out for this and that. This is what happened to me. It's all coming from a good place, but at the end of the day, retrospectively to when I was pregnant, what ended up being the thing for me was not the thing for most people. I had the worst fatigue ever in the world. Oh my gosh, the sleep I slope when I was pregnant was slapping. Hi and welcome back to AKA Mama. If you're new here, my name is Tafara. I'm from Zimbabwe and I'm based here in Germany, raising an absolutely amazing three-nager. And in this space, we just have real talk about motherhood and raising children abroad. I want to touch on that fatigue topic that I just mentioned. And a lot of people, they talk about morning sickness and all the other things that come, with pregnancy, heartburn and whatnot. I was so scared of all that stuff. I never stopped to think, oh my gosh, fatigue is gonna get the best of me. But at the end of the day, I had absolutely no complications whatsoever besides fatigue. That fatigue was out of this world. It was so crazy, it was mind blowing. I usually don't sleep that much. And I don't even take naps during the day because if I sleep during the day, I'm going to have a hard time falling asleep at night. But I felt this crazy exhaustion. I have no words to describe what it actually felt like. It was so crazy. And then I know one of my friends said, oh my gosh, it's gonna go, like it's first trimester vibes, it's gonna go away. So I was like, okay, I gotta wait a couple of weeks, the first trimester was done, big milestone, yay, but I was still tired. And then somebody else said to me, oh, with me it went at 14 weeks. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just, it's gonna go in 2 weeks' time. I waited, hit that line, I was still extremely exhausted. I will never ever have the words to explain this kind of exhaustion. Somebody else said to me 16 weeks. I waited 16 weeks. I'm like, oh my, it's been weeks and weeks and weeks of waiting for this fatigue to go. At the end of the day, I ended up having it throughout the pregnancy. I was so exhausted. I actually find it absolutely amazing that a person can fully function, feeling that exhausted. It's wild. I mean, the sleep was amazing. I would do anything to be able to sleep that deep every night. But it was just out of this world. The reason why I bring it up is because it's related to the very first thing I'd pinpoint as what really shocked me when I had a newborn baby. I was thinking, I was like, what was the first thing that really shocked me? I mean, people tell you a lot of stuff, and then the sleep deprivation, oh my, sleep deprivation and the broken sleep, that for me was the absolute worst thing during the newborn phase. No amount of explanation, or people talk about it. They're like, oh my gosh, you'll be so tired. They describe it. But as long as you haven't experienced it, no description can do it justice. And I realized how bad it was the day I forgot my son's name. So he was asleep, well, we were all sleeping. And in my sleep, I heard this very, very distant cry. And I was like, yeah, okay. It sounded so distant that I almost couldn't hear it. But then, as I got up because of, it kept going on, it sounded closer and closer. And then I woke up and I realized, oh, it's my son crying. But I was so exhausted. I couldn't get out of bed. I literally couldn't get out of bed. But I also couldn't ask his dad to get him out of his cot because I had forgotten his name. I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I say to his dad, hey, can you please give me that guy? He's awake. And then he says to me, which guy? Seriously, I narrate the story like talking about how exhausted I was, but we were both exhausted because which other guy was supposed to be in the house? So I'm like, the one in the cot. So he gets up and, gets the baby out. He gives the baby to me. And as I was breastfeeding him, I was thinking, this is wild. I have to share this with somebody. So I'm like, who could be awake right now? So my sister lives down under. I start messaging her. I'm like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what just happened. I forgot Ray's name. And then as I'm narrating this story, I start laughing. I start laughing, but I don't want to wake the two guys up, right? So I'm like, that's how I'm laughing. Then his dad wakes up. He's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. And then he says, you sound like you're crying. And then I just started laughing. At that point, there was no holding back. I laughed so hard. And, I explained how absurd I found it, that I forgot our son's name. I mean, if you really stop to think about how much time, effort, and love goes into coming up with the child's name. And in this case, his name was actually set at 10 weeks. Of course, for the month following, we bounced names back and forth. We were thinking, how about this one? How about this one? But the name we had when he was 10 weeks old is the name that he has today. And in that moment of exhaustion, I actually completely forgot it. That was wild for me. I would have never ever imagined myself to be the mom that forgets her son's name because of exhaustion, and also how much I love his name. To this day, when I think about it, I'm like, wow, crazy. I don't know how many moms this happens to, but it happened to me. So I'd be interested in finding out, if you're a mom watching this video and at some point you forgot your child's name, due to exhaustion. Drop a comment. I'll be interested in hearing your story, but I'll also be interested in knowing what was the first shocker for those of you, when you look back retrospectively, when you had a newborn, what was an aha moment where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I never saw that coming. I'll be interested in hearing that too. I hope you enjoyed this personal anecdote. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. See you next time.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.